Notes?
Can I speak into your microphone?
Yes, you
There we go. So anyway, it's really, I'm happy to introduce my husband who retired early May last year and within 2 weeks was on the Pacific.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt you for a
Please.
second? We weren't finished with announcements. I wasn't looking around enough, and Matt has an announcement, so, sorry.
Well, so,
Can I get the mic?
as you all know, we've been sort of scratching our heads about replacements for our fundraisers. And we have commissioned a committee to investigate possible replacements for our fundraisers. And we're looking at them very closely. Thank you very much, PJ, for spearheading that effort.
Pleasure.
And there is a list. We have prioritized them in terms of the interests that at least has been expressed by the members of the committee. At the top of them would be some sort of beer fest or Oktoberfest, which will happen presumably in the fall. There's also a bike ride or a run, and I've been looking into that. There are logistical issues with that. And there's a host of other possible fundraisers, and we're going to look at them more closely this Monday and try to give you an idea of the slate of possibilities. The board has also approved of the idea of a dinner auction in the interim to raise a little bit of money. It's something that we know how to do very well, and it's something that typically we raise $20,000 or more in doing that. Many of these other alternative fundraisers have projected income in the $5,000 to $7,000 range, which is fine. They're smaller fundraisers, and they're things that we can do in addition to, probably subsequent to the dinner auction that we're contemplating. Ultimately, the board, and yours truly and Bill, we're your servants. We're here to develop a consensus in the club. There has been, obviously, as you know, difference of opinion about various fundraisers that we've done, from Cajun to Mardi Gras. And we're listening very, very closely to you, but at the same time, we need to develop some sort of plan moving forward to bring money into the club. So the idea is a dinner auction, and basically it's something where we can celebrate as a club what we have done, and what we've done in the past, and what we will do in the future. And we need some sort of theme for the club, for the dinner auction, and we're completely open to various ideas. I have hit upon the idea, and with some approval from other members of the board and of the club, of a cabaret toga party. What? Yeah, and you say, what is he talking about? Wait a minute.
Toga.
Hold on one second.
Toga.
Get your sheets clean. Here is our great artist and resident Scott. And some of the good news about this is I've gotten the community center for free on March 23rd.
Free.
Yeah.
You like that?
Diana Rich, in light of the debacle with Cajun, has agreed to, actually her successor has agreed to allow us to run a fundraiser. We're going to have to pay the cost of a security guard, but I mean, so we're already in a very advantageous position in terms of making some money doing this. And as I say, historically, we always make money doing this. We always make money doing this. The good news is for whatever reason, yours truly, in a fit of self-inflicted injury and masochism, has agreed to chair this. I don't know. I just as soon have someone else do it. I just as soon have some other fundraiser, step into the breach, and some other. Did I give you one of these silly things? So that's the notion. There were alternative notions, themes. I think we need some sort of pitch, way of distinguishing ourselves and drawing people to our event. Could be the Sunrise Ball. And Nikki has some excellent ideas, and there is a thought of perhaps having a Beatles-inspired dinner. That's a possibility too. I myself, and I know that this is probably something we want to stay away from, I thought of the Cajun heat check, right? Probably don't want to do that, but it would mean that there would be interest in the community. People would just come from the community to that, and we could have an auction as well. But so I've headed down the road of a toga party because of all I've heard. There will be a cabaret. I have gotten the interest of the drama departments of Annalee and El Molino to send a dramatic contingent to do short skits on this issue of Ides of March. This is the story of Julius Caesar is the story of a would-be dictator who's trying to destroy democracy. Of course, there's no relevance to in the current day, but we'll try to keep it fun. We'll have a little bit of music. We'll have a live auction, a silent auction. And the most important thing is to coalesce as a club and reimagine what we're going to do fundraising. It's about, you guys have to decide, do we want to raise some money for the programs that we love and that we know that are needed in the community? You have to decide. But we can have some fun. We can gather together as a group and raise a little money at the same time. I will tell you that Lori Darling has agreed to do the silent auction again. She does a great job every time. Every single time she does a wonderful job with the silent auction. Gail Thomas has agreed to gather live auction items. She does a great job every time. So we can have some fun doing this. I'm pulling together this cabaret notion. It should be a lot of fun. I'm hoping to have a skit or two from this club. I've got some ideas about people that might fit, perhaps emperors and so forth and so on. People can come dressed as folk Cleopatra, as Vestal Virgins, as, whatever. I'm thinking of perhaps a martyr. I know that probably would be Dance to be the best virgin. How about Joe, you would be a great centurion. So anyway, there will also be...
Not a eunuch, though. He's not a eunuch.
There will be garlands. You guys don't have to dress up if you don't want. We'll have a garland or something you can stick on your head, the honorary Roman, Or you can come dress up. I'm going to come dress up. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to be.
Costume prize.
So we hope we can coalesce around this. If you want to send me emails, if you have some issue with this, if you want to do a different theme, if you want to do the Sunrise Ball, that's fine. Send me an email. I do think we can make a little bit of dough while we're reimagining our fundraising, okay? While we're deciding what we want to do. We will meet on Monday to decide what we want to do. And hopefully we can do some of those things in the future.
Is that a separate meeting from the board meeting?
No, that would be the board meeting.
Okay, and everybody's invited to the board meeting, it's not just for board members, so if you have something to say, that would be a great opportunity.
I will try to send out today the list that PJ has developed. He's done a great job. And the prioritization of the various things that the club has thought about. There's an idea of a dog show, a chili cook-off, and so forth and so on. So these are things that we can look at. And PJ, go ahead.
I just do want to say that I was simply a scribe, and the committee did a fantastic job of coming up with ideas and following through on what those ideas, how they could play out for the club. So my thanks again to the committee members that had given up their time to come help put this together. like I said, I was simply a scribe.
And what a scribe. He's been a great contributor. And so there you have it. You know, you can express your dissent. We try to accommodate everyone. It's all about developing consensus. And for me, it's a lot about having fun, too. It's what I enjoy with this group. I try to have fun. I think you all like to have fun. So we can have fun, and we also can make a little bit of money. And most of the planning has been done. I've got Larry on board for a Roman feast. So let's party. Let's have some fun. Let's make a little money and rock and roll.
All right, let's have some fun. Okay, so anyway, I'm happy to introduce my husband. He retired early May last year with 2 weeks of his on the trail and the Pacific Crest Trail. I was really happy to be able to support him in this great adventure, physical challenge, and personal growth. And please help me welcome Jim Newman.
Hello.
I gotta get a tune, baby.
Okay. All right. There we go. So let's welcome him.
How you do, Mr. Speaker, how you do? Is there anything that we can do for you? Thanks for coming here today. We are with you all the way. How do you do, Honor Speaker, how do you do?
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be invited to speak a little bit about the Pacific Crest Trail. And first, a little bit about myself. I'm a geologist. I'm a California licensed professional geologist and a certified engineering geologist. 59 years old. And let's see, I've been dreaming about doing the Pacific Crest Trail for decades. But well, about 5 years ago, I had to stop running because of some hip problems, and then 3 years ago, I had a total hip replacement. And I was able to walk again. And I realized then that if I was going to do some things that I wanted to do, I better start doing them while I still can. And did a few practice hikes, quit my job, and 2 weeks later, I was on the trail. And it was a life-changing experience. Anyway, let's see, there are a number of long trails in the United States. This shows 3 of them, but there's a few others. The North County Trail goes from Vermont to North Dakota. The Arizona Trail, Florida Trail, and the Pacific Northwest Trail are all up here. And these 3 trails that are shown are the big ones that are the ones that are best known: the Appalachian Trail, the Continental Divide Trail, and the Pacific Crest Trail. The Continental Divide Trail is the longest at 3,100 miles and goes from Mexico to Canada, like the Pacific Crest Trail. And the Pacific Crest Trail is, let's see, 2,600 miles, 2,650 miles, and it covers, well, its lowest elevation is 100 feet at the Columbia River, and it goes up to 13,150 feet at Forester Pass in the Sierras. If you take the side trip to Mount Whitney, it's 14,500 feet. And let's see, there's, it goes through 7 geologic provinces, which as a geologist I thought was kind of neat. And it also borders an 8th one. And the 7 geologic provinces are, let's see, it starts in the Peninsula Range and goes right by the Colorado. The Transverse Ranges, the Mojave Desert, the Sierra Nevada, touches the Modoc Plateau, and up to the Klamath Ranges and then finally up to the Cascade Ranges, all the way up to Canada. But like I said, California has 11 geologic provinces, and this touches on 7 and borders another one. The only ones that's missing in California are the Basin Range, the Great Valley province, and the Coastal Range. Let's see. Now, I started here in Campo, California. That's the southern terminus. You can see the border. In fact, you can throw a rock at the border and hit it from where you're at. And this is basically what it looks like for the first 700 miles. There are some areas that have some trees, and occasionally you come to an area that has a stream, but most of the time it's just desert, flat. Well, it's not necessarily flat, but very, very little shade, and it gets really, really hot. And this is what you do when you finally do find that shade. And so I took breaks quite frequently, and there was one time that I'd been going for a couple hours. I really needed a break. There was not a tree in sight. I wound up squatting down on the ground, my knees tucked in underneath my umbrella just to get a little bit of shade. And but you know, it turned out that this is probably one of the worst years I could have picked. The Sierra Nevadas had record amount of snowfall. That summer had record heat, and I ran into 3 heat waves that were triple digits. Let's see, the streams were melting just at a tremendous rate, and so the crossings, some of the crossings were just outright dangerous. And fires. It seemed like fires were constantly with me. The first 2 weeks I didn't see any fires, but after that they were either smoke or fires were always with me. And this is one of the fires that was early on, and there were many fires throughout. In fact, in Oregon and Washington, they closed the trail at a number of places that I had to go around because of fires. But the snow was also a huge problem because you just couldn't see the trail. Here and in the next slide, there's a single track. Those are easy to follow, of course, but most of the time there were tracks going everywhere. And even when you just had patches of 100-yard patch of snow, because the trail meandered so much, it was, I spent a lot of time just trying to find that trail. Had no idea where I was. No, actually I had a very good idea where I was, but I had no idea where the trail was. But that could provide some challenges, but that was one of the fun parts, was trying to figure out what to do next. But anyway, the stream crossings were a challenging part. This isn't too bad. It's less than knee depth, even though it's kind of rushing water. You know, it's not very dangerous. But when it was waist high and rushing water, there were a couple times before Portland Pass where I literally feared for my life. And I knew I was in big trouble if I slipped. And it also felt like I was slipping several times. So it was a little scary there. This would have been one of the places where going with other people would have been nice. But I was alone for the vast majority of the time, and that turned out to be a little frightening during some of the points.
Who took the picture?
I took that picture. There's a couple other pictures coming in that I didn't take. This now, one of the surprises of this trip. Because, well, to tell you a little bit of myself, I'm kind of a loner. My wife says I'm antisocial. So, but one of the big surprises of this trip was the relationships that I found and the people that I met. And here's a group of 4 folks. On the left is me. My name is Perpetual Motion. Then Rabbit and Strawberry and not karaoke, jukebox. And these were just 4 people. Everyone had trail names. And on a sad note, the woman in the middle, Strawberry, she died on this trip. She drowned on crossing one of the streams. And it was kind of sad. But Strawberry and Rabbit, well, Strawberry was from Japan, and Rabbit was from the Philippines. And there were quite a few people that were international on this trip. I would say at least 20% of the people were international. That was a surprise as well. But I just ran into tons of people that, and some of them, even though I only knew briefly, we became fast friends quickly. On the left is simple. The woman in blue, her name is Dropout, and everyone gets a name for something they did. In Dropout's case, she originally had planned just to do from the Mexican border to the Southern Sierras at Kennedy Meadows. And what she did, well, in the middle of it, she realized that she wanted to keep going. And so she dropped out of graduate school and decided to keep going to the Canadian border. And she actually made it to the Canadian border. The gentleman here is Ranger. He was in his late 70s. And I don't know that he made it to the Canadian border, but since I met him in northern Washington State, it's a pretty good chance he made it. And then the 2 ladies there is, one's Lady and the other is Wasabi. And I know how Ranger got his name. In Southern California, he ran into, he went into one of these campgrounds and saw some fellow hikers who mistook him for a ranger and thought they were going to get in trouble because they were smoking pot. And the name stuck with him. Wasabi had bought a 50-pound bag of soybeans that had wasabi flavoring on them. And so she came up with, or she got that name because she always, every time she had a box that was mailed to her, it had a whole bunch of these wasabi beans in it. But, and people communicated on the trail as well by leaving notes. And a woman named Smeagol wrote this note to Lady. Lady was one of the women on the previous page. And there were dozens and dozens of these notes. And this, they were numbered. That one's number 16. Here's another one, and there's just people left notes for each other, and this was not unusual. I saw a lot of notes from this one person to Lady, but there was also notes to particular people. This one to Neon and Karaoke from a group called the Naked Sun Cups, which adopted me in Northern California, and I knew I became part of that group when they asked me to participate in one of their naked photos. But
did you?
I did. I was one of the O's of Oregon at the Oregon border. And let's see. Anyway, there were lots of notes. There was a note left for me at the very end of the trip at the northern terminal. The note was left for me just letting me know that someone was waiting for me at at Manning Park, which is where it ends. And the trail agents were another really big surprise to this. Trail agents were just folks who go out of their way to help hikers. A few of them had actually been a long distance hiker themselves, but most of them have never hiked and never planned to hike. They just wanted to help hikers. And some of them were really organized in towns and left notes like this, or had signs or notes. And others, you just met on the trail. And a lot of them were, it was the PCT crossed the road, and 50 yards down the trail, there would be a couple coolers that would have beer and sodas, water, and another cooler with some food. And sometimes they're a little bit more elaborate. This guy on the top left, he had a couple chairs out there, and then he carried a cooler full of stuff, and then took the empties, and he kept replenishing it that way. And it was just blind luck that I happened to meet him. Usually it wasn't manned, but he had a couple chairs in the shade there, and sodas and food. And then of course we got a lot more elaborate. The lower left one, this guy actually set up and had some hot food. And then on the right there, beer and whiskey and blueberries. So it was just wonderful how many people were just helping hikers, and total strangers helping folks. I happened to run into some people who had never helped anyone before. We just got to talking, and they invited me and one other guy to stay in their home. They fed us. They drove us around town to the post office and to Kmart and to a grocery store to resupply, and then brought us back up the trailhead the next day. It was just a wonderful, generous thing they did. But and another really cool one that I ran into crossing the highway going to marketing. There was this guy who set up a couple tables and had umbrellas over them, and he had a couple stoves, and he was making eggs and chili, and there was hot coffee, and then there was all sorts of cold beverages there. And he set that up every morning and tore it down at night so the bears wouldn't get the stuff. And then he'd resupply that evening and then come back the next morning. And he was setting up at 6 in the morning every day. And it was just a wonderful experience to meet these people. And there were even, I really love this particular one. As you can see on this bench, they had some planks on top of the bench, and on that bench, they asked people to write their name on them, and they also had a logbook, and they wanted everyone to write a joke in the logbook, write their name on the bench, and they had a couple coolers, one with water, one with lemonade, and then some snacks. And then this is my mark, perpetual motion, on the side of the bench there. But as you can see, the thing was just filled. And there, let's see, there's 3, 4, 5 planks total, and all of them were, it was hard to find a space. So, but the views were, of course, one of the huge things that I saw, and they were common. From what I understand, that was different from the Appalachian Trail, which you're sort of in the green tunnel for quite a long time. But every day I ran into these wonderful, wonderful views, and and I had so much time to think. It was really just a wonderful experience to be able to have so much time to think. And I thought about things places I hadn't thought about in years. People from high school, people from the service. I thought a lot about my relationship with Pam and my relationship with other people. And I really, I mean, I knew before I left that I had something pretty special with Pam, but it really cemented itself out there on the trail. But view after view after view of just this spectacular stuff. Now I had a lot of views with smoke as well, but you know, it was just a wonderful thing. And this was my home for 4 months, that little tent. And you know, I tried to do ultralight. The tent itself, that weighs 1.5 pounds. That does not include the tent poles, which were my hiking poles. And but you know, 1.5 pounds for the tent. I didn't have a sleeping bag. I had a quilt instead, which was a little bit lighter because you didn't have the stuff underneath you. A very minimally comfortable pad, but lightweight. And you know, a relatively lightweight backpack. The three heaviest things in your pack are the pack itself, your sleep system, and your shelter. And so, you know, I cut those down quite a bit. My stove, I mean, this weighs just a couple grams, and it burns alcohol. You know, it's pretty lightweight. Some of the places I met this year looks like an eagle. Oddly enough, it's called Eagle Rock. This is out near Warner Springs, and then there's a lot of critters that I saw while I was out there. Just most rattlesnakes were some of my favorites. Oddly enough, some people freaked out by them, but you know, they're as long as you don't bother them, they won't bother you. One of the favorite things that I saw, I just did a picture of it, in Alaska National Park. Early in the morning, I got up. It was before sunrise, and there was a bear nearby, and it was going from down log to down log to down log, tearing them open, eating the grub, and then going to the next log. Now, the bear was obviously used to people because it didn't run away. It knew I was there, but you know, it wasn't looking for people food though. And it was a pretty cool experience. I really just loved, you know, being able to see that. And I did do a little bit of night hiking, and there was some night critters out too. Mostly mice, but occasionally the scorpion or the fox. And the night sky was gorgeous. This is not my picture. My camera would not have done that, which was a cell phone. But the night sky was gorgeous when it wasn't too smoky. And then I went through so many different ecological niches. The plant life just varied a huge amount. Lots of desert. The far right, those are all pitcher plants. They only grow in very wet and very poor soil. But you know, it's just a lot of different ecological niches that I had there. One of the big things I wanted to do was to see the total eclipse. Again, this isn't my picture, but I did get to see the total eclipse in Albany, Oregon. I traveled with Dropout to get to Highway 20, but it turned out that fires prevented us from doing that. So we both got picked up at Elk Lake. She went to Burns to see the eclipse. I went to Albany to visit my sister and see the eclipse. But these are some of the things that that I did take pictures of. And this was after the eclipse started happening in all those parks. And then it was my birthday, and they gave me an eclipse birthday cake too. So finally made it to the end, and boy, was I ready to be done. 4 months on the trail, I couldn't believe how ready I was to be done. I didn't want to do another step. But, you know, it was a huge sense of accomplishment at the same time. It surprised me how I felt to finally get there. Some folks cried when they got there, and you know, I admit I had a tear in my eye myself. That log where I'm standing at there, that opens up, and you could get and there was a note there for me, and there was notes for lots of people. One of them for perpetual motion. I don't know hardly any of the real names of the folks I met on the trail. I only know them by their trail names. But you know, it really seemed like a huge sense of accomplishment. And at the time, there was no way I was ever going to do anything like that again. But you know, I've forgotten a little bit about the pain. And I am thinking about another one someday. But anyway, got to Canada, and it was a wonderful thing. This is the northern terminus. There was 8 more miles to get to Manning Park, British Columbia. And thank you.
When you were crossing the streams, were you in waders, or did your clothes get wet that you had to now be in cold snow with wet clothes?
I crossed, generally just had shorts on and my hiking shoes, which my hiking shoes, by the way, were tennis shoes. And I just let them dry out as I hiked. So 45 minutes later, they dried out. When I had my boots on, which in the high Sierras I did have boots, once they got wet, they kind of stayed wet. And so when I didn't need boots, which was most of the trip, they dried out much faster than boots. Yes?
How many miles a day approximately?
That varied a great deal for mileage, but my high mileage was 36 miles through Northern California and all of Oregon. A full day was over 30 miles. And my shortest day for a full day was 13 miles, and that was over Forester Pass. And the reason why it was only 13 miles was because, no, it was because I kept losing the trail in the snow. And I was probably averaging less than 20 miles a day in the Sierras. And that was mainly because there's a lot of trying to find where I was. So, yes.
What was your average weight that you carried, and how did you get provisioned with food? Did Pam bring you special goodies?
My average weight, well, the weight varied a lot. I wouldn't say there was an average weight. When I was empty of food, my pack weighed about 22 pounds. At its fullest, I had 11 days worth of food, a bear canister, crampons, ice axe, and it weighed over 50 pounds. It's probably close to 60 at the very beginning. Fortunately, I go through a couple pounds of, 2.5 pounds a day of food. So, it lightened up pretty quickly. But the bear canister and all the extra gear in the high Sierras really added up as well. Yes?
How did those hips work out?
My hip worked out fine. It was a little sore for a little while, and I never could tighten up my hip belt, which was a big pain, because the hip belt really takes a lot of the weight off your shoulders. So almost the whole trip, I had to carry the whole weight of the pack on my shoulders. But other than that, it worked fine. Like I said, I want to do it again.
What was your diet?
Oh boy, junk food. I tried to keep it very calorie dense. Fritos corn chips, 160 calories per ounce. I added oil to all my cooked food. Most of my cooked food, I usually only had one cooked meal a day, and that was dinner, which was usually a north side with oil added to it. For lunches, I'd have cold mashed potatoes. I'd add water to some mashed potatoes. I'd add oil to that as well. Lots of snacks, peanut butter and tortillas. Lots of nuts. So it was all pretty calorie dense stuff. When I got into town, I ate a lot. And I mean, it was probably a couple thousand calories more in town than most days. And I was always hungry. And I lost about 20, 25 pounds on this trip.
How could you stay warm with that light of bag? That sleeping bag? It's pretty lightweight.
It's very lightweight, and when it got cold out, I would wear clothes in the bag.
You froze.
Then I wore clothes. No, I didn't freeze. It was I was out there during summer. It wasn't too bad. It got cold at high altitudes. But for the most part, I mean, I woke up many times when there was ice outside and sometimes inside the tent. But you know, it's I never really felt good enough.
But that's gold.
It did get good.
It's gold.
We're about out of time now, but if you wouldn't mind sticking around if there are other
Absolutely.
questions.
Absolutely.
This has been great, Jim. I'm just so proud of you.
Hey, thank you.
One more task for you. First of all, we have a drawing every week. We have a raffle, and so this will be the first week, so there's like $4 in there. Because Bruce got it. And the number is
231. 8231.
Well, what's wrong with that?
No way!
all right. Another new deck
I know
here.
how to pick them.
You do? Gosh.
No looking.
Oh, 9 of diamonds. So close, so close. The consolation prize was from Richard Ruby, and it's not a bottle of wine or anything. It's Stephen Colbert's Midnight Confessions. Congratulations. And joke of the day, Patrick.
Passing it over to Jim, who's got a better joke than I had.
Okay.
All right, no microphone?
Yeah, there's a microphone. Hold on. Sorry.
Can you do one more thing?
Got a bunch of lazy people with their broom.
Actually, I don't have a joke, I just have the...
Can you turn it off?
I better turn you on the mic. No, I do.
Hold it up. I think it's on here.
What is it?
Is it up?
There you go.
John was on his deathbed, and he gasped, oops.
All right, stop there.
John was on his deathbed, he gasped pitifully, "Give me one last request, dear," he said. "Of course, John," his wife said softly. 6 months after I died, John said, "I want you to marry Bob." "But I thought you hated Bob," she said. With his last breath, he said, "I do."
Joe?
Here we go.
Happy trails to you.